Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to What's Happening Dracut. Today is Wednesday, May 18th, 2022. We are happy that you are able to join us here in our overly ostentatious studios located on Mill Street in Dracut, Massachusetts. We're coming to you live, and we are raring to go for a great show, an after-election great show. We've got all the gossip that happened during the day. We have all of the ins and outs, who's in, who's out, who's the winners, who's the losers, and we're going to go all through all of that. But if you'd like to join in the conversation, we're going to have it fast, stimulating, and moving right along. Please call us at 978-957-4243. We'll get you on live. That is, if you're a friend. Yeah, well, there's certain people we're not going to let on the show because it's our show. Okay, so before we get started, I wanted to tell you that you can join us live on Facebook, which we are currently live, thanks to Gordy and Richard Silvio. And we're going to be we're live on DracutTelevision.org or DracutTV.org. And you can go to our webpage at Dracut Access Television, and we're also we're just
and YouTube
and YouTube too. Eventually, right? We're going to put that on YouTube.
So if you want to catch old episodes, you can go to DracutTV.org, or you can go on YouTube and just look for What's Happening Dracut.
And here is our no longer Teflon Don. He's no longer Teflon because people are coming after you. That's what I heard, Gordy. I heard people are coming after you. Not that they haven't already done it. Our co-host for this evening is Gordy Scott.
How is everyone doing?
Doing great.
I just can't believe, we got big news tonight. I mean, the envelope thing.
Oh,
I can't believe someone got one of us on the panel here got a perfect score.
So what was that all about? We put our predictions in there?
We predicted all of the races. I actually got one perfect. The moderator I got.
Right, of course.
Correct.
I think we all got that one, right? But we forgot the envelopes, but we're going to bring them in the next show.
But we know
who we did, who we voted for, and what have you. But we also have the Cub Reporter in the house, folks. The Cub Reporter's back from a little bit of a hiatus.
Absolutely. Don't get too excited. Stay in your seats.
Richard Silvio is in the house.
How's it going, John?
It's good. You're going to be 18 next month.
June 21st. That's right. Absolutely.
When's graduation, Richard?
June 3rd, 7 p.m. After party is June 4th, the next day, at an undisclosed location known only to you guys and some of my closest buddies. So,
but are you done? All the homework done? Are your finals all done yet?
They're done enough. They're done enough to pass.
And
Senioritis has kicked in. We're all done.
What's in the future for Richard?
So in the fall, I'm starting 2 years at Middlesex in the Communications Career Center to transfer to UMass Lowell for 2 more years.
That's good. That's great stuff.
That's the
exactly.
best way to go.
Just think where you got your start.
I'll never forget it. You won't. You know what, John? You won't let me forget it.
I won't let you forget it. That's right. Nor will our nemesis. Our nemesis are out there going to keep telling you that for the rest of your life you have
You've been brainwashed.
You have an umbilical cord and you're brainwashed to John Zimini.
You know what? That's what I was going to say. I have a crystal clear head because I've been brainwashed so many times.
Yeah, it's all good, Richard. It's all good. But before we go too far, we have our ace in the hole weatherman from Mill City Weather, right? Sean Kelly is absolutely stupendous. And now he's working.
And he looks older, though.
I think he's working full time for
He
Channel
looks a little
7.
older now. He
does.
Yeah, he just had a birthday.
Getting a little mature.
Yeah.
He's getting a little bit mature. But before we go any further, let's hear the weather report for the next 8 days from Sean Kelly. Take it away, Sean.
Hi, John. Thanks for having me on once again. Here's the forecast for tonight. Temps are going to drop into the 40s tonight, near 50 degrees with partly cloudy conditions. Winds are going to be kind of gusty as it was today, out of the southwest at 10 to 20 miles an hour. And then as we head into tomorrow, high temps, again, near 70 degrees, about average for this time of year. There could be a spot shower or two in the afternoon hours. Winds are going to start to go down just a little bit coming out of the south at 10 to 15 miles an hour. And then as we head into the overnight hours, temps are going to be in the 50s with partly cloudy conditions and winds coming out of the southwest, again diminishing at 5 to 10 miles an hour. And here's a look at your exclusive 8-day forecast, 72 degrees for a high as we had on Wednesday. And then as we head into the weekend, temps near 100 degrees as we head into Saturday and Sunday. So kind of warm for this time of year, above average, you would say, for a high temp over the weekend, as we had last weekend. However, next week it does look like it's going to go back down into about average for this time of year, around 70 degrees, as we start to head into the beginning of next week. And that is the forecast for now, everyone. Back to you guys in the studio.
I can't get over that. 100 on Saturday.
Wow.
Now, what are
That
you
is
doing on
crazy.
Saturday?
I have a graduation. My niece-in-law is
Yeah.
graduating from her master's degree.
From where?
I knew you were going to ask, and I don't know.
You have a brain fart.
Brain fart. But she's having something at her house,
Okay.
so we're excited.
You gonna be inside or outside?
I'm going to another master's celebration for Erin Bathowich. Shout out to Erin. Congratulations.
Oh, good.
So she got her master's, so I'm going to that Friday night, and then my niece I'm going to on Saturday.
Well, what are you doing Saturday?
Saturday, I'll probably work in my victory garden in the early morning before the heat kicks in, and head over to the aunt's house, jump in the pool for a while.
100
Relax.
degrees.
Yeah.
That's
It'll be a
crazy.
good idea to be indoors. So Saturday, I have a couple of things. I have a graduation to go to, and I also have my granddaughter, my oldest granddaughter, is in a dance recital.
Very
Wow,
nice.
already, huh?
You didn't have a girl, so you didn't
No.
have any.
Nope.
You didn't have to do those.
No.
Yep, she's 4 years old and she's in her her first dance recital on this. Well, actually, her second. She did have a dance recital on during COVID that we couldn't go to and whatever. It was like remote or whatever it was. But anyways, it was. She's on a dance recital and that's indoors. And I hope that the Tewksbury High School is air conditioned because that's where it's going to be. But
Probably.
then she goes to. I think she goes to the Lisa Pilato dance school here in Dracut.
Very nice.
Yeah, very good. My daughter loves it, and my granddaughter loves it. So she's all dolled up. We have pictures on Facebook, on my personal Facebook page. If you're my friend, you want to get on, take a look at it. She's a gorgeous little girl, and I'm just excited for that. But hopefully we'll be in air conditioned in Tewksbury High School.
Probably.
Yeah,
Probably.
But so 100 degrees on Saturday. So let's talk about a couple of upcoming events. The Garden Club, friends of yours.
That's absolutely correct.
What do they have?
This Saturday, the 21st, they have their garden sale, their garden club sale, where they're going to sell all sorts of plants, flowers, vegetables. There it is, from 8 a.m. to noon in front of Harmony Hall over by the Historical Society. It'll be a great time. Pam Fitzgerald, president of the garden club, and the gals down there do great work. As you know, they helped with the World War I monument. And they're just a great apolitical organization who everybody should be able to get behind.
Yeah, that's
and I know
awesome.
I will be there throwing my support, and I hope everybody can come
They're
down.
going to have tomato plants there?
I believe so, yes.
Oh, good. Maybe I don't know if I'll have the time to stop there. I'll be running around.
Place
like
your orders ahead of time,
like
John. Place your...
maybe I can have you, my ace reporter,
Yeah.
pick me up some. I mean, after all, you do everything I ask you to do.
Oh,
right?
without question at all. I don't even think about it. I just go.
And we have Memorial Day celebration coming up.
Absolutely.
When is
As
that?
somebody who's involved with the veteran organizations in town, I can tell you that we have our parade on Memorial Day, Monday the 30th at 11 o'clock step-off time from the Greenmont going to the high school. And then on the Sunday before, the 29th, at the Lowell Memorial Auditorium at 11 o'clock, we're going to have ceremonies there with the Greater Lowell Veterans Council, where we're going to honor the post-9/11 soldiers.
How are you going to be in both if they're both at 11 o'clock?
Well, one is Sunday and one's Monday.
Oh, okay.
So the parade on Monday, I'll be on, hopefully on the American Legion float, because I'm the vice commander of the Sons of the Legion in town, post 315.
There you
And
go.
then I'm a volunteer member of the Greater Lowell Veterans Council.
How does somebody get onto the Sons of the
American Legion?
Because I was once, but I know how it
Yeah.
is, but I want you to tell the folks.
Yeah, so basically, to be a member of the Sons, you have to be a male, okay, which I know can be hard for
No
some people.
females?
No, well, that's what the
Do
auxiliaries
they have
are
a
for.
definition
Oh.
of what a male is?
What is the definition of a male?
We're not going to get it. Let's not, that's a conversation for it.
We're going to have that discussion later on in the show, but
Well, to me,
it's genetic, right? It's
yeah,
science.
I can only speak on behalf of myself, and not representing the Legion, but I can tell you that to me, a male is somebody who, well, has the correct genitalia matching the definition of a male. The other requirement is that either your father, mother, grandfather, or grandmother was a veteran. So if you are interested in joining, part of the duty of being a vice commander is recruiting. in membership. So come to me. Feel free to message me on Facebook, Richard J. Silvio, and I can hook you up with that.
There you
It's
go.
a great little organization to
And
get involved
will you
with.
be at either one of those parades?
I'm going to have to make it there, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't have any plans right now. My sister, I think, wanted me to come to Connecticut, but
Yeah. Oh,
that's not written in stone yet. So we'll
there you
see.
go. So we got an annual town meeting coming up.
That's right, we do.
Right? So that's the June 1st town meeting, I believe. It's
6th.
on June 6th.
D-Day. Uh-oh.
Is it D-Day?
June 6th is D-Day,
Who else
absolutely.
would know that among this group? Who else would know that? We have a bunch of people watching, and of course, Angel already chimed in that nobody wants to hear about 100 degrees.
No?
No, I'm happy that it's going to be hot, but I just don't want it to go back to 60 the next day. But anyways, we have a bunch of people watching. Are you on the regular TV? No, we're not. Yes, we're on the regular TV. We should be live on at Channel 8.
Well,
on
well, it's
DATV.
not regular when we're on it.
No,
It's super.
it's super
Irregular.
Super irregular for sure, for sure. So some of the things on the town warrant. Do you know what any of it is? What's on the town warrant this election? This coming June 6th. Do you know anything?
I haven't looked at it, no. I haven't taken a look.
Do you plan on attending, Richard?
Oh, yeah, I plan on to. It's sitting on the guest section, yeah.
Did you attend the mock?
Not the one that we currently had on Monday because I had a veteran council meeting, but I attended the one last year, and from what I hear, it was pretty much the same thing.
Probably, yeah, I'm sure. I mean, it's the standard stuff. They're going to go through reading of the meeting articles
Right.
and what have you, and then they go through the budget. You know, our total budget, I believe, is about
Million?
$91,293,000.
Wow, that's up. That's up quite a bit.
$212. That's up. Wow. That's up. And there's about $9 million, I'm told, is COVID money that they're gonna try to spend a lot of it.
I thought we were at like 83 to 86 before, the year before.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. So that's up a lot, and revenues are looking good and strong, and what have you. And the town looks like they're doing very well. There's also on there the school budget, enterprise budget. I don't know if anybody has any questions about this. PEG Access has their first enterprise budget on there, and that's going to be voted on, and it's already been recommended for approval. And there's all kinds of community preservation stuff, and there's just a plethora of material, and you can go online and get that. And we posted it on our site, so if you're interested, make sure you go to our webpage, on our Facebook page.
And hopefully we'll get enough,
people
people
to
show
be
up
there.
to-
What's the
I think
quorum?
it's still 200 now.
200
I think they
for the-
dropped
Didn't
it.
didn't they lower it? Yeah.
If anybody knows that answer, hi, Mr. Flynn. That's always a pleasure to see you. And Mr. Corey, Bob Corey is watching, Commissioner
It
Corey.
used to be 250, and then they
put it
changed
down
it
to
so many
200.
times. I don't know what
Yeah.
the real number is.
Hey, let's give a shout out to Trevor Currier.
Oh, yeah,
Let's
sure.
see. You got a picture of Trevor Currier. Trevor Currier was on our show a few years ago, maybe a year or so ago, and he was on because he challenged the Masconomic School Committee on the mask issue, much like
I
the
remember
people
that, yes.
that were ran for school committee, Shepard and Powling did in town. But this kid who's 19 years old, and I believe he's going to, I want to say University of New Hampshire. He's a smart kid, hockey player, captain of his hockey team. And Trevor, bring up the picture off of Gordy's computer. Trevor Currier won, and
Very
he
nice.
beat a former superintendent of schools who lives in Middleton. And this kid lives in Middleton, and he's a great young man who is more on the conservative side, but more sensible on politics and sensible on what has to be done. We want to send our congratulations out to Currier,
Absolutely.
Trevor Currier, and thank him for coming on the show, and maybe we'll have him on the show in the future. He's got a great future in politics in state, and I believe he'll go places. He's going to be a good kid. So we want to shout out to him. The youngest guy, he beat the incumbent, not the incumbent, it was an open seat, so he beat the entrenched former superintendent. His name is Roger Bourgeois, and he had all the political people behind him.
Yep.
And this kid beat him by 245 votes, so it wasn't that close.
You know what I think is beautiful, John? Because you know that his adversaries in that town
they killed him.
definitely pushed his age at him, right? Oh,
Oh.
you're only 19, what do you know? Similar to what they do to me. And so, it feels so good to see other young people running and winning their races. That feels so incredibly good.
Yep.
And I'm so happy for him.
So
Absolutely.
we got a couple other things here. Let's see. Richard Silvio father is
Oh, boy.
watching. We're happy to say that he's recovering. Getting a little grouchy around the edges again, so I can tell.
That means he's back to normal.
He's getting back to normal.
Gave him
But
a
we
good
want him
old
to get-
punch right in the back.
We want him to get a little bit fully recovered. He had major back surgery, and so it's not an easy task. We wish you nothing but the best. So let's talk a little bit about the election, because that's what we do here, right?
Well, can I tell the folks about the envelope results first?
No, let's get into this first,
All right,
and then
'cause
we'll get into the
I'm so
envelope
excited
results.
someone got a perfect score.
Let's get to the
Okay.
the stuff. Put up on the screen your results. All right, we got results here on Gordy's computer. Well, switching. There we go. So Gordy, go over it a little bit and talk about who the winner was. Who's the top vote getter?
So the selectman first, obviously Tony Archinsky, the incumbent, was the number one seed, if you will.
Right.
With the most votes, 1,387 votes for Tony.
1387. That's
Right?
great.
And there was a total of 2,673 votes. So he got 50%.
Isn't it sad?
50% of the votes.
Isn't it sad that out of 19,000 voters or more,
23,000.
23,000, that's right, you're right. Out of 23,000 voters, only,
2,600 and some.
is that,
Just under
so that's
2,700.
just about 11%,
Yeah.
something like that. Imagine that is so sad that's what
terrible.
is ruling. You got a minority of people ruling what the town is until it affects somebody in their house. So who was the second vote getter?
But I will say, both of the envelope results, we both got the top
The
candidate.
top
correct.
candidate, correct.
We both got him correct.
We got it right. Right. I mean, that wasn't hard to do.
No, but still.
The second vote getter was
Jennifer
newcomer and
Jennifer Kupczynski.
acclaimed, self-acclaimed, independent, politically independent person. She got the second highest votes. What is it?
1,040.
1,040.
Yeah.
Now, Phil Thibault, I believe, got 1,043 votes
Last
election.
Right.
So he kind of lost some votes,
Yeah.
right? If you think about it,
Right.
and that might be because of the other people that are in the race. So let's talk a little bit about Jennifer. Did you watch the selectmen meeting at all, Richard?
When was the last one?
The last one was last week.
I don't believe so.
Okay, did you get a
I
chance?
did
to-
not.
You didn't. Okay, so Jennifer, who had an opportunity, she had the opportunity to prove her independence, and what did she do? She voted for. She voted for Allison Janess to be the chairman. And Tony Archinsky was nominated by Heather Santiago Hutchings. And of course, the chairperson tried to get, well, is there a second? There's no second on nominations for offices. Right? And Heather pointed that out pretty abruptly. And of course, then they took a vote, which I believe they took the wrong vote, because when there were two people nominated, there should be one vote, and the vote should have been held by name, in my view. But she held a separate vote, and they voted 3-2 against Tony Archinsky, who should have been the chairperson. I mean, after all, he's the top vote getter in this last election.
Right.
And, he should have been, and she could have proven her independence. What do you think about that? During the whole election, she said she's going to be independent.
Yep. Obviously, as we posted on our Facebook page, you could see the similarities between Allison's mailers and her mailers. So we knew she was in the pocket of the Janess.
Mm-hmm. And
So that's no surprise.
No surprise at all. I mean, that wasn't hard to predict. Angel said even the seating arrangement, and she's right. She's absolutely right. Angel, I've been off the board now just over 8 years, and I served 9 years, and the seating arrangement was similar, 3-2, all the time, 3-2.
Yeah.
Most of the time, a lot of times it was
You were on the right
4-1.
side, and Joe, I think, was on the left side.
Yeah, exactly. Kept us apart.
Yep.
Pretty much. But the decorum in that chamber has gone right into the swill hole. right into the swill hole because of Joe. When I was there was this kind of stuff that's going on now, which we're going to get into a little bit later. So let's talk a little bit about who came in third
Philippe Thibault.
and what was his vote.
Philippe Thibault had 900 votes.
Even.
Even.
900 even.
Yes.
So he lost 140.
By 140.
About 143 votes.
140
well,
exactly.
That could be as a result of the bashing that he took from the ace, number one, political swill thrower in town, and that's Brian Genest, right?
Right.
So, I mean, he put a hit piece out, right? You saw that. What did you think of that?
Well, as you're aware, I posted something on our page saying he has something against Phil, obviously, because the last 6 years he's posted something in the Valley Patriot against Phil.
Right.
So I brought that to everyone's attention. Just I don't know why he's attacking Phil. It's just, I can see that you approve your candidate. If you're pushing somebody, just try to lift them up and advertise them as much as possible. There's no need to attack. And he says this show attacks people. I want him to get a video. He's down here at DATV. Edit out, take all our videos and edit them, and I want to
Tell us where we
show us a hit piece where we hit all these people.
Yeah.
That they're saying
Families, yeah.
Yeah, the families and people's. It doesn't happen.
No.
Because I'll tell you what, if that
But
happened,
he's now a regular guest on the other hit show.
right.
The other hit show that hits people regularly.
Yes.
The guys like O'Brien, right? Kevin O'Brien, who hated the hosts of those shows back in the day. And now he's like their best friend.
Right.
Because he's another hit artist, right?
And he calls us the flip-floppers.
Right. And he
Ridiculous.
went out. He was also Matt Sheehan's campaign manager, I believe.
Oh, really?
Right, whatever. But he held signs with him all the time, and he likes to throw dirt around of everybody else but himself. But people are going to find out about him too.
He's got to drink the Kool-Aid.
He's a political bully, but Phil had beaten him twice. Now, he beat Genest. Phil beat Genest and Murphy for the board seat here at DATV. Right.
Right.
I mean, O'Brien was embarrassed. I mean,
He didn't even come in
He
was standing outside the door.
No, because he couldn't.
My wife went and said something to him like, "Hey,
He
you
thought
can
he was-
come in and talk."
When he was standing there, my father walked in, to vote in the DATV election, and I don't know if he knew my father or not, but he said to him, don't even bother coming in. This election, I already won this thing. This thing's already over. Don't even bother.
Yeah, and Phil wiped the floor with him. But now, Phil also beat his candidate for selectman, who came in last, which we're going to get to. So Josh Taylor was the number 4 vote getter.
with 891.
891.
They're
He
hoping-
lost to Phil by 9 votes.
Very respectable.
Yeah, very
for a first-time guy who was an unconventional campaigner.
Yes.
What did you think of his campaign?
It was unique. It was absolutely unique to see. He bought buses, he bought smart cars, he bought street cars, or not street cars, street cleaners. It was interesting to watch, and he grasped my attention,
Right.
which almost no other candidate did. And I can tell you that they are praying with all their heart and soul that Josh Taylor goes away, and I don't see that happening. I think he'll be back.
Well, Josh Taylor, when he first announced, rumor has it that the Lucky Crew
Yeah.
and the Genest Crew, by the way, together they can only muster one victor. Did you know that? Out of all the 5 candidates that they supported in different races, they could only muster one victory. So they're going to say that they're the biggest winners, which they are the biggest winners because they have control over the selectmen. But they didn't win the school committee. They didn't win the moderator. They didn't win for which people don't know, for water commissioner, because they couldn't get a candidate to run against Bob Corey, although they tried.
If you would have ran, then they would have had a person in there.
Well, they had another person to bash.
Yeah.
Because they would have bashed me.
Right.
They would never support me for that.
Right.
And my wife would have put my stuff out on the deck, and I would have been sleeping on the deck. So,
But good for Bob. I'm glad he.
Bob Corey, which we'll get to that in a few
Absolutely.
minutes. But the biggest loser in this race for selectman
Matt
was,
Sheehan.
and what did he get for a
Matt
vote?
Sheehan
Shocker.
received 610 votes.
610 votes. Now,
That's called a shellacking.
Yeah, that's what's it called again?
A shellacking.
A shellacking. I like that. What do you think of that?
That's pretty good.
A shellacking. And of course, O'Brien must have been like.
He almost lost to the blanks.
What was the blanks?
Blanks were 496.
496 for blanks. Wow. Imagine that.
You know, John, I'd prefer to say he got waxed, but you know, by what? By Johnson's
Johnson
Glow
Glow.
Coat. Absolutely.
He got waxed by Johnson.
That's
Glow.
you know what? If you didn't go to the OTR event, that's an inside joke. Well,
Gordy, can you do a quick analysis on your little, computer there and tell me, was Matt Sheehan last in 9 out of 10 precincts?
Let's see.
Really quickly, because I believe he was. The other day, while he's trying to figure that out, the other day I was on City Life on LTC with John McDonough. Great show. The Dawn Patrol is the early show that goes on at 6, and that's on Facebook and on DATV, as well as Tewksbury and Tingsboro, I believe, all at 6 o'clock. And we were talking a little bit about this whole thing, and Matt's bully, my throat is getting a little dry. Matt's bully campaign manager chimed in something about me picking on a black Dracut family, right?
oh, I know.
It's a video, and I wanted to show it tonight, and I'll bring it up in the future. Yeah. It was a video that they are exploiting, saying that I was picking on a black lady.
Yes,
at a supermarket in Market Basket. And the fact of the matter is that I was looking for a parking space or coming out of a parking space, and this individual started raving at me and swearing at me. So I took a video of her because I thought I was fearful for my life, to be honest with you. And what she said, she was swearing at me about my Trump bumper sticker. And she was calling me all kinds of names, F-bombs and the whole 9 yards. And all I said to her very simply is, I still love you, God bless you, and I pray for you. And it's heard on the video, so I don't know what they
You know what's
get
really
out of that.
interesting, John? If it wasn't John Zimini and it was somebody, some random citizen they showed on Fox News, those same people who are bashing you would have came right out and supported that person in the car.
Sure, of
because
course,
we all agree on national politics, and that's the funny thing, I think. You know, it's only the local politics that divide us.
Angel, I don't know what you mean by your statement, why City Life if Dracut is so committed to being a town? Oh, the City Life is a show in Lowell. And of course, it's mostly about Lowell, but they talk about other towns. They talk about Dracut, and on Tuesdays usually myself or Tom Bowmill or someone from Dracut is on the show. Yeah. Last week we had Tony Archinsky on as the victor, the overall victor. And so I'm on that show pretty regularly, every couple of weeks. And, tune in. It's a good show.
John, I wanted to go back for 1 sec about Phil and the number of votes he got.
Yeah.
So we said he lost by 140.
Yeah.
That's correct?
He lost by 140.
And from the votes he got last year, he lost 143.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Right.
So if he had the same support base, he would have won by 3.
He would have won by 3. He could have, right?
Wow.
And a lot of that goes to the fact that the 5 people in the race probably split up enough votes to keep Phil out. Now that's a smart. See, they put Matt Sheehan in the race. The Lucky Crew put Matt Sheehan in the race, and we showed a video of Matt's signs being put out by Lucky and Joe DeRocco.
In their work truck.
But they wouldn't pick up his signs. There were people that called me saying, "Oh, Lucky and Joe are out picking up, Kopczynski's signs, but they're not picking up Sheehan's signs." Did you see that?
I wonder why.
Because they dumped him.
Absolutely.
They dumped him as soon as they knew that he couldn't win, right? And they focused on electing Kopczynski because they wanted to dump Tony, but they couldn't because they tried to get O'Brien, another basher, through his Janess through the surrogate O'Brien, did a FOIA request on Tony, which was an abomination. It's just typical of Janess, to do that kind of thing. But O'Brien doesn't understand that he's a useful idiot for those people.
Those are the best type of
He's
idiots.
just as useful anyway.
Those are the best types. You don't know
So
they're
back
useful
to
idiots.
Sheehan,
Yeah.
he did win one precinct, 5.
5.
He didn't win. He came in 4th out of
4th out of 5, and I believe that's his home precinct.
right, and then he came in last in every other precinct.
Now
And he lost 2 to the blanks. Blanks actually
beat him.
beat him in 2 precincts.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But you know what else is interesting? 6A, I think, is the elderly. I think
Yes.
that's the
Yep.
the senior
Correct.
center, right?
And he tied with the blanks on that one. 9 blanks and 9.
But he came in
last. Yes.
in that precinct.
Correct.
And he is the chairman of the Board of Housing Authority. Does that
Phil-
have anything to say
Phil
to
came
how
in second.
what they think of him?
Phil did come in second.
He came in second there.
Yeah, right.
Yes, right. I mean, it's a small amount of votes, but it's still telling that that
Well-
is exactly, you know?
Let me ask you about Josh Taylor, right?
Sure.
If Josh Taylor didn't run, who would those 800 votes go to?
Well, you know, that's a
That's
very
the
interesting
question.
thing. What would your analysis be on that?
Well, I don't know. I'm not sure. You kind of have to. I think Josh Taylor has friends that a lot of those supported him, but I think that Richard brings up a valid point. Those 891, obviously Josh is independent and he's not going to be controlled by anyone. So my gut feeling is to say that a majority of those would have gone to Phil.
Well,
Not all of them.
I
but
think
majority of them.
Kopczynski.
what's that?
I think that they would have gone to Jen.
No way.
I absolutely. And do you know why I think so?
Why?
Because holding signs, I held signs
Yep.
for the majority of the school committee candidates. In speaking to the Rob and Sarah people, a lot of them were supporting Josh Taylor.
And where did they come in? Yeah.
Still, I still
You know,
think. I
you
still
shouldn't have-
think
they shouldn't have been. They, shouldn't
they
have been
supported
supporting
Josh
anybody.
Taylor and they supported Jen Kopczynski.
Yeah, well, I think that you can't ever say that votes are transferable to anybody. You really can't predict where it will
Right.
go. And but I think that there would have been enough votes that may have not voted for Phil, but just voted for Josh, that could have put him over the top.
Right. Or
know?
if Phil wouldn't have run, I think
But
he
I-
may have gotten in.
Yeah, that's
Right?
true. That's true. I mean, I would have supported Josh Taylor, but people would have said that was the kiss of death. But Tony Archinsky won, and I fully supported Tony
Right.
Archinsky
Absolutely.
as well as Phil. But so you can't use that analysis and then abandon the analysis when I have a winner,
Right.
And I also supported Linda Truville, who topped the ticket in there, as well as Volpe. So Volpe did a good job too. But the whole thing with Matt Sheehan is what makes it more despicable is that he hides behind people like Brian Genest, and he hides behind O'Brien and lets those people do the attacking, and he tries to be the guy that's above the fray. Well, that didn't work, Matt. People realize that you're a despicable human being, that you pick on homeless people, you mock little people on your Facebook page. I mean, this is a person who's chairman of the board of the Housing Authority, and he's also on the school committee at the regional school. I'm going to predict there will be a candidate against him for regional vocational school committee person. I'm going to predict that because that's not the type of guy you want deciding the fate of your child's schooling, right?
Yep.
So I'm going to predict that there will be somebody that'll come out of the woodwork to run against him. Not anybody that I know, but I'm just saying that I think he's damaged enough with 600 votes. I mean, he can't get elected anything. I mean, Sabrina Heisey beat him, who's one of the most liberal people in town, ultra liberal people in town. So,
And then if you remember before our show prior to the election, if you remember my prediction for the number of voters, I was way off because I thought there was going to be a surge of the anti-maskers coming out to vote, and they didn't show up. So I said between 3,800 and 4,000, and there was only 2,700. So, and again, if there would have been more voters, I think that would have been a good thing for Phil.
Angel just asked a question. Is Joe Espinola already on the Volk board? I think Joe is no longer on that board. I believe that Matt ran for the seat that he was in. and I believe Paul Moran, who supported.
Yep, Paul
very
Moran.
disappointing that he supported that Paul Moran supported Matt. Although I know why, because Matt is part of the good old boys, and Paul is part of the good old boys on the regional school. So he probably felt compelled to support Matt. But have some guts, will you? I mean, have some political courage. You know, he went to Tony Archinsky's party. Now, I know he didn't vote for Tony Archinsky. There's no way he could have voted for Tony Archinsky. He probably bulleted Matt Sheehan. So that's one of the 610, I'm sure. But that's for another day. So any other issues that you want to talk about with the Board of Selectmen before
Well, I
we move
just
on
wanted to
this
let the viewers know you nailed it perfectly.
Right, I did, on the predictions.
Yes.
On the predictions, I predicted that Tony would top the ticket.
Yep.
That Jennifer Kopczynski would come in second.
Yep.
Phil would come in third. Josh would be fourth.
Yep.
And fifth would be Matt
Congratulations.
Sheehan.
I did not get them correct.
Yeah, I did predict
I
it.
had Phil in second, Jennifer in third.
Hey, listen, Phil is in my heart. I wanted him to
Right.
be second, but I just
I
thought...
I knocked on a lot of doors for Phil,
did.
so I thought
You did.
that would make the difference.
But I just think that the combination of the political machines of Lucky Vizina, by the way, who I believe is one of the big losers in this election, because without Genest, without the two Genests involved in the campaign, Lucky loses, because Phil would have won that race if they weren't.
And I think if more people would have voted.
Yep. Well, you know, it is what it is in Dracut.
Yep.
Unless you can create an issue that will drive people to the polls. And what's an issue
pocketbook.
that will drive people to the polls?
Something that hits the pocketbook. Taxes.
And that's great segue into the school committee race.
Yes.
Because who I thought was a shining star was a rising star, Alyssa Nazaro. She blew it when she went on
really
Ron
did.
Shaw's radio show on Saturday, the week before the election, and she said that it has to be on the table, an override, a $500,000 over. What did you think of that one?
Yeah, that was the kiss of death.
Yeah.
I think it was.
And
And she tried to backtrack off of it and say she didn't mean it that way.
right.
But I think that did her in. Because
What did
she's
you think?
obviously well-spoken, very intelligent person. But after she said, I think she was doing well. I agree with you. Prior to going on the show, I think she was one of the front runners.
She was on our show once,
Yep.
and she couldn't make the second show with the candidates because she had COVID, I
Yep.
believe. Although I'm not sure whether she did have COVID or not at that point. She might have had it, but anyways, she didn't come on the show, and I think she could have really clarified better her stand on overrides. Richard, you were watching that whole race pretty intently, and you went back and forth on a couple of candidates.
You know, I did go back and forth, but in terms of her coming out in favor of the tax override, you know, I took AP government this year at the high school, and the first thing they told us, the two things that kill a candidate more than anything, is coming out in support of something against Social Security and coming out in favor of a tax hike, right? The minute she did that in Warren Shaw's show, she became an easily beatable candidate, and I think it's unfortunate because I agree with you. You know, I spoke with her at the little forum at Dunkin' Donuts that they had that Rebecca Duda launched, and
Rebecca Duda, the shining star, one of the new shining stars. Go
the
ahead.
best school committee member there is, absolutely. And
But
you
you're
know,
a little biased, right?
I am a little
Like we're
biased.
biased with Phil, you're a little biased with her.
I am a little
Okay,
biased.
go ahead.
But you know, and she was very nice, like you said, very intelligent, especially on the special ed department in the schools. And I think she would have been a great addition to the school committee. And if she runs in the future, depending on who's up, I may very well come out in support of her. You know, her winning wouldn't have been the worst thing in the world. It's just the lineup this time around didn't exactly give me a chance to do that, but I hope it does in the future, really.
Hey, Bob Hoey from Lowell, Bob Hoey Jr. from Lowell, he's watching our show tonight. I want to give him a shout out. I'm on the show with him on Tuesdays on City Life and the Dawn Patrol, and great guy. He's another guy like Josh Taylor who's down to earth. Do you know that Bob Hoey served on the school committee for like 7 years
I
or
didn't know
8
that.
years, and he didn't graduate high school.
Really?
He didn't graduate. He's got his GED, but he brags about it. That here he is on the Lowell School Committee, and he didn't graduate from high school. Imagine that.
Wow.
Well, but a great guy, Bob Hoey. Just wanted to give a shout out. They lambasted him a little bit. So, Angel wants you to clarify.
Well, I'd like her to clarify her question.
Yeah, what is it? Clarify what?
D on BOS or W on SC?
I don't know.
Am I being a little thick-headed right now?
I think no. You're absolutely right.
I just feel like I need an Enigma machine to.
But let's go to
break that down.
the number one vote getter. Who was the number one
For
vote
school
getter on the
committee
school
was
committee?
Linda Trouville,
what
which
did
we
she-
both had correct.
We had correct. And who is she? What did she have for votes?
1,638. She topped all vote getters.
Okay. Now, Linda Trouville is obviously
Oh.
a great candidate. She's just been around so many years, and she's not like been around like an old shoe. She's been around like a person who's been involved in every aspect of the school. So that was an easy prediction to make
Yes.
her. It's a
Well,
very popular
Tony and her were
family. The
easy, but
Gormans.
I got the easy one right.
Yeah, the Gormans, the Trouvilles. I mean, May Paquette, which you're going to see later on in the show, how she did very well for
Yep.
library trustee. Great people, great individuals. So they had a very strong showing. So who was number two?
Number 2 was Allison Lee Volpe,
There you go. And what did she get for votes?
1,095.
1,095.
Not too shabby.
That's not too shabby.
Good
That's
enough to win.
That would have been good enough to win for selectmen.
It would have
And
been,
I will
absolutely.
predict that she will be a candidate when her term ends as a school committee person in
That's
3
your
years,
prediction?
maybe.
I don't think she'll stop there.
Well,
I think she'll serve on Board of Selectmen, then move up.
if she wants to move up,
Yeah.
my advice to her would be do it now.
Yeah.
Because do it as soon as you can, because the longer you stay,
Yeah.
the more
The more
you
entrenched
lose.
you become. Right.
Because entrenched, but the longer unless you're a Linda Trouville, right?
Right.
Superstar.
You could be on the school committee forever, but you can't ever rise because you're making enemies every time you sit on the meeting.
Right.
When I won my first race for selectman, I was the top vote getter by well over 700-800 votes, and ran against a popular guy by the name of Bobby Cox. Right, big vote getter. His brother was a representative in Lowell.
Isn't that the father of Patrick Cox?
That's
Yes.
Patrick's father, and I won big over him. And I turned to my daughters and my wife. And I have a big picture. I have a picture at home about that. And I said, "Enjoy this feeling because it's the most popular I'll ever be. Because once you start making votes, you lose some votes, right? So, but there's always a way of getting more votes. So, who was number 3?
Number 3 with 716 votes with Rob Shepard.
Rob Shepard, who was a newcomer.
Yes.
And you're familiar with Rob.
I'm familiar with Rob. I predicted that out of the two of them, Rob would come ahead higher than Sarah. He's a good guy, and I think he has good ideas. But this time, it wasn't his time.
Right.
This turnaround wasn't his time.
Right. And
Unfortunately.
I think he'll be a candidate in the future. His biggest mistake was making.
Combining.
Go ahead.
They combined together kind of.
That was a huge mistake.
Sarah and Rob.
They ran together. That's
Ran
a huge
together.
mistake.
I mean, their flyer, they have the same flyer.
Yeah,
Both of them on the same flyer.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. I don't even know how they are going to report that to finance office.
Yeah.
How do you report that? I don't know how you do that. But they didn't hold out any.
Well, I think the mistake they made is what you said. They put the signs together, they put the flyers together. What you can do is have your own sign, have your own flyer, but you can come out vocally in support
Right.
and say, look, if I had a second vote, my second vote's going to go to John Zimini. Or my second
Well, I
vote's
don't
going to
mind.
go
I don't mind the signs being held by poll workers or sign
No,
holders.
but when they
they're
actually
supporting-
combine the signs
Yes, they were stapled together.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
stapled together.
You know,
yeah,
for me, one of the biggest mistakes they made was coming out in support of Town Hall West and the gymnastics.
There you go.
Because I spoke to them in private, and somebody on their side, I won't say who it is, said to me, what has Tony Archinsky done for the town of Dracut? And
Wow.
in the minute I heard that come out of that person's mouth, I threw my hands up in the air and said, I'm sorry. It was fun while it lasted, but I can't support you any longer.
And what'd you do?
I left.
You were holding signs for them then.
I was holding signs, yes.
And what did Sarah Pauling get for votes?
She came in fourth with 672.
672. And on that day, I remember that incident because we talked about it.
Right, because I came
And
afterwards.
during
and
that
felt
same
for Phil.
day, we told Phil that they were supporting Josh Taylor, not him, right? Which
Yeah.
is fine. But when you do that, you lose people.
Absolutely. People's loyalties are very mixed and tied.
Right.
It's a whole web of alliances, and you need to watch out what you say to who.
You're right,
so.
exactly. And then Alyssa Nazaro, what was
Came
her-
in last with 633.
633. And believe
So
me,
even she beat Matt Sheehan's vote total.
right. And I thought she had a shot at possibly beating Allison Volpe because I thought she was really a rising star. She came across very well on this show.
It was the-
And then when I heard her on that
Override
Saturday
was-
morning, the override, that was it. I posted it on What's Happening Dracut. And I'm not saying or boasting that What's Happening Dracut has that much of an influence on people, although I think it does have some.
Yeah,
I think the
absolutely.
show has a lot of influence on people and kind of shapes people's thoughts. But we posted it right away on our Facebook page.
Yeah.
And I think that was the beginning of her end.
Well, like I said, I have nothing against her personally. I think she's a
I
great
don't
lady.
either.
But I don't think she brings much to the table that Renee Young and Allison Volpe aren't already doing.
Right.
I didn't hear her offer any new ideas or anything, startling or anything
Right.
like
So
that.
what were the blanks in that race?
Blanks were 573.
That's not a lot. So that doesn't translate into a lot of
a lot of bullet votes.
bullet votes. So there were people voting multiple votes.
Right, and
So,
as we know, John, from previous elections that we've covered, when the vote total is low, usually the incumbents get in.
Right.
Yeah.
In generally speaking, not always.
Yeah.
But a high percentage of the time, the lower the vote, the better it is for the incumbent.
and as a political observer and a person who's been in politics for many years, the more candidates in the race,
Right, the better it is for the incumbent.
right, and that's what Town Hall West does the best. They suck people in to come into the race, and then they abandon them. Did you know that Josh Taylor was being touted as they were trying to school him, trying to get him to be one of their candidates?
I'm not surprised.
And then when Josh Taylor said he wants to be independent, they dumped him, and they had Matt Sheehan, who was right up their alley. He'll do whatever they want because he's just one of those political hacks that wants to.
And then the other thing from this election, I wanted to point out, especially the school committee, is that the anti-vaxxers, right, the anti-mask, we don't want masks
Right.
at the schools, they didn't show up at the polling,
Of course not.
right?
They didn't
Because you
call it.
would have seen it in the totals,
Yeah,
right?
you
And
would.
that's what I really thought. I personally thought that's why we were going to get more people.
Yep.
Because I thought people felt strongly about. But what happened is during the polling time, the masks went away at the schools, so
Right.
people forgot.
And and Richard pointed out pretty aptly, pretty astutely, how they were one issue candidates.
Exactly. It was a single issue platform, and anybody knows that that's such an extremely dangerous proposition because, as we saw in this case, their single issue got ripped away from them.
Yeah.
And they clamored around looking for other things to pick up, and by that time it was too late. I think if the election was in the midst of COVID and the mask
Right,
mandate,
exactly.
they absolutely would have topped the ticket, the both of them, and I really do
Yeah.
truly believe that. But unfortunately,
Yeah, the mask
I'm not
mandate
sure that
went
would
away.
have happened either because Dracut is what it is, and the votes that come out in that.
But the parents
particular
that were
time,
really upset about having their kids wear
Right.
masks would have voted.
they would have been
Right.
closer.
Yeah.
They may not have topped. I don't think they would have ever beaten
well, perhaps they wouldn't have topped,
Linda,
but I think
they
one
would
of
have
them
been
absolutely
more
would have gone on.
serious candidates.
Yep.
So let's talk about library trustee.
Right, so there was
The most obscure position other than moderator of the Dracut Water District, right?
Right.
I mean, it's the lowest, one of the lowest on the totem poles. But
So May Paquette got the most votes, 1,934.
yeah, 1934.
Yep, and
That was a good year.
she beat well, there was two people running, so there was only two candidates.
And you vote for two. So.
Right, so James Nolan got 1,772, and the blanks actually got 1,659.
So now you can tell that there's a lot of bulleting going on in that race,
Well,
right?
people just didn't care and just didn't
Just
vote.
didn't vote, right. But the bottom line here is that May Paquette is part of that Gorman family, a very popular family, again, a popular vote getter, former school committee person, and, you know, she'll do a great job there. She was a former member of the DATV board of one of the original members of the DATV board of directors here. Great person. Husband Norman is very well liked, and all of her kids. Her son is a part owner of the boat, David Paquette. So, I mean, a very popular family. So, that was no surprise either. The incumbent for moderator, whom I've had plenty of back and forth with through the years. We've been on opposite sides. We've been together on some issues, but mostly not on the same page, right? But because Town Hall West put a candidate in because they were upset with certain things that were going on with the moderator, I voted for George Meliaris.
I did too.
You know, and if anybody challenges that and tells me that I'm wrong, I have proof. You know, so George Meliaris
we both got that right in our envelopes.
So what was his vote?
George got 1470, and David received 1,053.
1,053, and he could have won with that. Of course, again, votes are not transferable, right? But one could think
that shows you that when there's 2 candidates versus 5 candidates, what happens?
Exactly. He's the current moderator of the Water District, but he was more importantly the Town Hall West. You know why he was Town Hall West's
I'm not sure.
candidate? Oh, do you know why?
Well, he's a former firefighter.
No. Joe DeRocco and Lucky Vizina, who want to control everything, folks, everything, they supported him, put him in the race because they were upset with George Meliaris because of Rich Cowan.
Correct.
Rich Cowan.
Yep.
In fact, Joe DeRocco called Meliaris, I'm told, and they had a conversation about his race. And funny enough, Joe DeRocco's property on Mammoth, is it Mammoth Road he's on?
I don't know.
I think he's on Mammoth Road. Well, anyways, they had 2 signs for both moderator candidates. You know, come on. Are you serious? You know who you want. They were upset because of the appointments. So hopefully the moderator has a 3-year term. I hope that George is going to do what he told some people on election day, that he didn't say it to me, but he said it to other people, that, you know, he wants to try to make an effect on filling all of the positions that he has control over, an appointment over, and he should. And it should be people who are independent and divorced from that group, plain and simple.
You know, after looking back at the entire election as a whole, I think one of the best points that we can talk about is Tony Archinsky didn't lose, because if he did, according to Town Hall West, he'd have to be put on the suicide watch list.
Yeah.
So, because as we know, somebody from Town Hall West pointed that out.
Who said that? Come on, say it. You heard it. You can say it.
I'm pretty sure. Was it? I think it was Matt Sheehan, right?
Yeah.
I believe it was Matt Sheehan came out and said that if Tony better watch out, because he's going to lose the election and he's going to have to be put on suicide watch list.
Yeah. I wonder if Matt was.
Thank God that didn't happen.
I know, of course.
I think Matt needs to be on a watch list, but not the suicide.
Yeah, that's the kind of guy that Matt Sheehan is, making a comment like that. And, you know, we were told that, and it's rumor, so, you know, we're reporting it as a rumor, and that's what we do, right?
Take it, you know, or
so,
leave it.
Any other comments online today? Anything
just Angel agrees that at the end, COVID is what cost her, meaning Sarah Powling.
Yeah. The Water Supply District.
Yes, there was one candidate, Bob Corey.
Right.
And he received 1,717 votes out of a total of 1,848. 17. Good guy, Bob Corey. Yep. His wife and he are very active down here at DATV. They do a lot of community events. They film a lot of community events. Great people.
Absolutely.
But Town Hall West was actively searching for a candidate against Bob.
Wow.
At the very least, they wanted him to have a candidate so that he wouldn't have an easy election or just a pass on the election. In fact, I was asked to run against Bob Corey.
Really?
Really. And I didn't reveal that here until now. I was asked to run. I had support of some people in town that are pretty, that would openly support my candidacy. And of course, my wife has veto power, and I wouldn't have run against Bob anyways, not for the reason that they came to me, because they wanted to make his life miserable.
It's because Bob was a hero.
And Bob called me and asked me because he heard the rumor.
Well, do you know Bob's history?
Yes, I do.
In the Cold War?
Yes, I do.
Oh, the man's an absolute hero.
Well, we'll have to have him on sometime.
We absolutely have to.
You know,
Oh, my
but
goodness.
Bob Corey, congratulations on that, and just do a good job there, and keep my water rates low. Keep the water rates lower.
And keep my water white instead of brown.
And brown, yeah, that happened. So, who's the big losers and the big winners in this election?
Well, I think Matt Sheehan is the big loser.
That's for sure.
I do feel bad. I think Nazaro is a loser, but I don't think she's going to be lost for forever. And I think if she wants to run again, I don't think she's scarred for life, but she would be scarred. And next time she would run, she would have to make it clear about doing a override.
Read my lips.
Right.
No new taxes.
And I would say the big winners have to be the incumbents, all of them, because they all were victorious.
Are we offline?
We're back on.
We're back on?
Oh, and
Okay.
Angel, by the way, Angel clarified about Alyssa Nazaro. When she said that it was COVID at the end who ended her, she was referring to Alyssa getting COVID.
Oh.
And she thinks that was the final nail in the coffin.
Really?
For Alyssa, yeah.
Really, I don't
know about that,
understand I don't believe that. So, folks, we went offline, which means our comments are gone.
Got wiped.
But if you want to come back on, and we'll
On Facebook, that
on
is.
the Facebook. We were offline for a couple of seconds. But anyways, Jennifer Scott's watching.
Oh, yeah.
You know, she's always watching.
Yeah.
She's making sure that you don't do any impersonations.
That's right.
And we would like to have you do impersonations.
I'm
sometime.
sure you would.
You know? I'd love to hear you do that impersonation. Right? But no, Jen won't let you. So in my view, the big loser is Lucky Vizina. Look, it's now proof that Lucky Vizina will not be as strong as an...
Is he losing his grip?
He's losing the grip. And the only reason that they pulled Kopczynski over the top into the winning spot was because of Janest and his hateful diatribe. It was enough to peel away enough votes from the most important challenger, Phil Thibault. And that, coupled with probably O'Brien, Kevin O'Brien, the hateful Kevin Bully O'Brien, he probably peeled enough votes away from Phil Thibault to help Janest in their quest to have the puppet be on the board.
Well, I think we have to remember, too, Brian Janest is a powerful ally to have. I mean, advertising things on Facebook, that's what this guy does for a living, and, I hate to say it, but he does it well. He knows his job, and he does it well,
I think
and
his
it's
choice
powerful.
of words is not, and I'm going to push back on it.
Yeah.
Your choice of words.
As we do.
As powerful doesn't mean he's not powerful.
Well, no, I'm not saying I don't mean there's
He's
a lot of polar
he's
say,
another
but
useful idiot.
But he knows what I'm saying is he knows how to use social media
Well, yeah,
to
he
his
does.
advantage.
He does.
And that
but
could be the name of the
he's going to
game.
get a lesson in it very soon.
I certainly hope so.
Once the Senate district changes
Yeah.
for Dracut, he's going to get a lesson because there's people in the background that are not Dracut people that are just waiting to get him.
I mean, when you're on the town Republican committee and you're supporting the Democratic candidates,
And let
that
me
tells you everything
clarify
you have to know.
that, to get him politically.
Right.
Right? They want him. They're just waiting in the background that don't live in Dracut because of all of his hateful stuff that he's done to people. He's done also to Lowell. He's done to people in Lowell, Republicans in Lowell that cannot stand him. That now the Republican district is going to change because you have the Senate district is changing,
Right.
and we're going to have a new senator, right? So he's going to have a race.
Is he going to be supporting George Bogue?
Oh, of course he's going to support Boag. I like to mispronounce his name, Bogue, because he's another useful idiot of Brian Baumd, right? And unfortunately, we were probably useful idiots for Brian Baumd for a while too, but that's okay. That's another time. I want to congratulate Town Clerk Jane Boysenall. She did a great job. Great job. They had electronic signs out. They used
The new technology was
they
awesome.
used reverse 911 to let people know. It probably did a little to bring it up, but I'd like to see her do that, use those tools more than just a week or two or a couple of days before the election, and be more advocating to
For
let
the town
people
meeting
know.
as well.
And they should do that. So, Jane, good job, and your crew, you did a great job. What's the future of Dracut politics here? What do you think?
I don't know.
I don't think it changes, but Joe DeRocco certainly has issues because he gets up on the bully pulpit that he uses the Board of Selectmen. By the way, Tony Archinsky has introduced a new code of conduct for the Board of Selectmen after last week's diatribe that Joe continues to throw out about me and Phil. And all I want to say to you is, Joe, every time you mention my name on the floor of the Board of Selectmen, you make me more relevant. And I love it because my ego gets boosted when you do that, right? So I might go to community input at the next meeting.
You should.
I might. I have not spoken publicly in that chamber since I left, but I may go this week just to put a little thorn up their butt. But, I mean, you know, it's going to be an interesting future for Dracut
John,
politics.
if you go speak at community input, you have to remember they're not going to implement anything you have to say.
Oh, yeah, exactly. But they end up doing it anyway. So let's move on. Do you have anything else you want to add to the town elections? Anything?
No.
As we
And
got
I
about-
just wish the people that, you know, I see all this stuff on Facebook that people complain about the schools don't have enough money. They complain about this, that, and the other thing. But obviously people don't vote. We only had 11% of the people.
We should have taken, I know. We got.
I mean, it just, if you're not voting, stop complaining.
Well, if I were to run again, I'd put something controversial on the warrant a month before. Something that will drive people to the election, to the polls. Something like, let's put a warrant article on because you can do this, you know, to not increase the taxes by 2.5%.
Or don't give the
Now
elected officials their stipend.
Well, the stipend is an old hat thing, and that
Yeah.
wouldn't really bring
But,
out
I
enough
mean,
people.
that's another-
But if you put on the ballot that town meeting votes to not have the Proposition 2.5 override go into
For
effect
1
for
year.
the following year,
Yeah,
for
for
1 year, to give the people a tax break, you'll see people come out to vote for that.
Right.
So now I just planted a seed for a
But
candidate.
the problem is it has to get voted in at town meeting to put it on the ballot.
Just put it on there, and now it becomes a talking point of the
Right.
election.
Right.
Right? Okay, so we have a short 2-minute video I want to show that you did for school.
Oh, it's 4 minutes, but we can just
We'll cut it.
we'll
to-
show as
just-
much as we
Just
want.
tell Nate, show about 1 minute and 30 seconds of this. And you have that queued up? Matt, you can show it now.
Things with
Nate-
Russia are heating up. Let's take a look.
Yeah, let's go.
This is an official civil defense film produced in cooperation with the Federal Civil Defense Administration and in consultation with the Safety Commission of the National Education Association. War has been raging in Europe now for over 2 months, with no end in sight. Russian tanks and infantry regiments have poured into eastern Ukraine, slaughtering women and children as they continue their conquest to re-establish the Soviet Union. Air raid sirens blare as the Soviets continue their aerial campaign, which has devastated Ukrainian cities. Entire city blocks have been reduced to rubble as missiles ruthlessly disintegrate their civilian targets. The so-called President Putin of the neo-communist bloc has tested dozens of nuclear warheads since the war in Europe began, most notably the Satan II. The effects of a nuclear attack would cause many casualties and injuries. But what is an atom bomb, you may ask? An atom bomb is a weapon in which an extremely powerful explosion occurs after the sudden splitting of a heavy element, such as uranium or plutonium. The resulting combustion not only poses a threat to those in the immediate blast zone, but to the surrounding neighborhoods that are exposed to the preceding shockwave and fallout as well. Fallout is the remnants of ionized radiation, which can be carried by winds and precipitation to areas miles away from the blast zone, presenting an immediate danger to life. Those exposed to radioactivity should hurry indoors as soon as possible, remembering to remove all outer layers of clothing. The Federal Emergency Management Agency, or better known as FEMA, advises immediate bathing to rid yourself of dangerous chemicals. Be sure to remember, and this is very important, not to use hand sanitizers or wipes. You must use soap and water. Those exposed to...
Wow, Richard. That's a great video.
You know,
Now, you did that for a project for school.
I did that for a project for school. It had a touch of sarcasm with it, but you know what? All that information I presented with the washing yourself and all that is all modern, up-to-date info released by FEMA. And I think showing it in black and white in the setting of a 1950s public service announcement really shows how backwards the world is moving. You know what I mean? Looking at those clips of Ukraine, that looked like a scene from Poland in 1939. And I think it's disgusting that we can relate, you know, the current politics to the 1930s.
When that first came up, and with the civil defense sign, did you know I was a civil defense director in Chelsea?
Yes, and I remember the advice you gave me. When I asked you, John, I said, what do we do if an atom bomb drops on Boston? Do you remember what you said?
Put your head between your legs and kiss your butt goodbye, right?
Yeah. And as a side note, not to derail too much.
Not to be funny about it, but...
Right. When I was looking at the FEMA information, modern up-to-date info on atomic bombs and what to do and all that, it said in light of the COVID-19 pandemic, are you ready for this?
Yep.
If an atom bomb drops, it really says this, you can look it up, be sure to bring your masks, and if in a shelter, stay 6 feet apart from other families. If an atomic bomb drops.
Wow.
You can look that up yourself. FEMA actually says that.
Right.
Can you believe that?
So, Gordy, when I was a kid, we used to practice in school, and many people my age will relate to this, born in 1952.
Duck and cover?
You duck under your desk and cover.
Bert the Turtle. Yeah.
Those were the brilliant things that the federal government told you to do.
Things haven't changed that much either.
No, it hasn't. It hasn't really changed that much. But you wanted to talk about that we're on the point or on the cusp of nuclear war.
Absolutely. You know, as somebody who studies history so closely, you know, what we're looking at legitimately is a repeat of the start of the Second World War. You know, if you've been following at all the war, by the way, the fact that we can say, how about the war in Europe, right? We haven't been able to say that for 80 years.
Yeah.
How's the war in Europe going? That's disgusting by itself. But if you've heard about Finland at all,
right,
they're planning to join NATO.
They're trying to, yeah.
They're trying to, and it looks like NATO is going to push that through. If they do that, Russia says they invade Finland, and if Russia invades Finland, England says they go to war in support of Finland against the Russians. It's the same thing. It's the same thing as World War II. If anything, right now, Ukraine is in the same position of Czechoslovakia, and it looks like Finland might be the next Poland. If the British go to war in Finland, who's going to be right next to them, other than their Yankee cousin? Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Poland will be there, and we will be there, supporting the English.
No question. And with the weak person we have in the White House.
It's terrifying.
And we have people in Congress that are pushing an agenda. They're pushing a war agenda, aren't they? Yes. With the $40 billion that they're planning on sending to Ukraine. Well, and don't get me wrong, I really want us to support Ukraine in any way they can, any way we can to beat Russia. And I think that Ukraine is doing a good job of pushing back and possibly winning. The other day I was Ubering, and I drive for Uber, as you know, and I had a gentleman get in my car with an accent, a really thick accent. I couldn't tell whether it was Polish or Russian because they're very close. And being from Poland, I'm interested to know, being an ancestry of Poland,
Polish descent,
Polish ancestry, I was interested. So I asked the gentleman where he was from, and he says, I'm from Ukraine. He says,
really?
And I told him that my parents, my grandparents were both from Poland, and Polish Russian and Polish German, and I could relate to it and the stuff that was going on. He was a man in his early 60s, and he started to choke up, and he says, I can't talk about it because I have family there. I cannot talk about it, he said, in his thick Ukrainian accent. He says, I could see him from the rear view mirror. He was choking up, and he says, I can't talk about it. Imagine that. And that's exactly what you have going on here.
Well, you know what, John? Speaking of the Ukrainians pushing back, I'm going to push back a little on you. I think, and I'm going to get a lot of hate from this, especially from conservatives, I think it is absolutely time that the United States commits troops to the war in Europe. Because we have tried appeasement in the past. We have tried appeasement with Adolf Hitler. And for those of you who don't know what appeasement means, it basically means giving in to what the big bad guy wants, hoping that he won't go for more territory, and it doesn't work. Have we learned nothing from the Second World War? Have we learned nothing? It is time to strike Putin now.
You won't get it with this president.
Not at all.
No, you're not going to get it, but it's time. And I'm not going to say his name, but somebody in the comments, I just want to give him pushback on what he says. Somebody in the comments says, Putin said that now he doesn't care about Finland joining NATO, right? Oh, so Putin, who was in the KGB, said something. It must be true. He's a trustworthy guy.
He's a follower.
He's a follower
of
of Putin.
bot,
Absolutely,
this guy.
absolutely.
This guy's a Russian bot.
But it is absolutely time to commit troops because we're going to be there one way or the other. We might as well be there now before the Russians
I don't
can
agree
build
with that.
up.
I wouldn't put boys, young men in their midst unless you know that there's no winner in a nuclear war.
Well, no, I don't think it'll necessarily go nuclear.
Well,
I think committing troops. I think Putin's bluffing there. I don't think it would necessarily go nuclear, but I see us going there eventually. So if it is going to go nuclear at some point,
I wouldn't. I think nuclear is going to be a serious problem.
oh, that'd be end all be all. But I don't see it going there.
Yeah. I'm sorry. The end all be all of course it is, and there's all kinds of war games have been played, and Putin knows it as well as Biden knows it, and any other political forces.
He can bully
There's
people.
no winner in a nuclear
He can bully the
attack.
U.S. around because Biden is not going to.
Right. Well, he gets away.
If Trump was in there still,
and that's why he gets
he
away
wouldn't be
with
doing
it.
what he's doing.
Right.
The same thing with FDR allowed the Japanese and the Germans to bully us around, and what happened? Japan bombed Pearl Harbor, and we got involved in the war, and the same exact thing is going to happen.
If we had a stronger president, Ukraine would have been prepared, much more prepared than they are when the war started.
Absolutely.
We could have sent materials over there before. We had plenty of warning from Putin.
Yeah.
We had over a year of warning that he was going to
sat at the border for 3
invade,
months.
and he was setting up for many, many months. We could have sent a lot of aid in terms of, how about just sending the stuff that was in Afghanistan over to him? Right? Just start sending
we
all
left
the
it all
stuff
behind.
we left billions and billions of dollars in Afghanistan, and that was Joe Biden, right? And anybody that voted for Joe Biden, I don't know how they can look themselves in the mirror today.
I know.
You know, I mean, how can you do? Let's talk about a little bit about the gas prices. I have a video. You can show that video, that short Bidenflation video, about the gas prices. It's going to be a summer of hell.
Absolutely.
With the gas prices that are going on. You said it, down on the Cape, you're talking on probably Martha's Vineyard or Nantucket.
It's already like $6, yeah.
You know why? Because they got to transport it over there.
Right.
There's no pipeline that goes to Nantucket. They have to bring it over by ship, and diesel fuel and coal and all that stuff is going through the roof. And one of the prices we had on that little piece was, I believe it was $5.35 a gallon for regular. That's right in Methuen, Massachusetts.
Wow.
So $5 a gallon has already been surpassed in Massachusetts. I took that picture this morning, and some of those pictures I took this morning, but I was predicting that by next weekend, the entire state will be over $5. What say you?
Well, there's nothing in the future, and this money we're giving to Ukraine is further going to make this inflation worse, because more government spending is more inflation. The only bright side I can see to this whole thing is I've invested in I-bonds, which is for people at home that don't know what that is. It's an inflationary bond.
Yep.
So it pays at the rate of inflation. So I just bought them last month, and I got 7.61%. Now I'm getting 9.62%. Most experts say by the next 6 months, because it adjusts every 6 months, it's going to be over 14%.
So are you saying that I should take all my money out of the stock market and put it in? I probably don't have anything left after today. Did you see what the stock market did today?
not.
It went down over 1,200 points.
Yeah, so
just about 400.
And it's going to
4%.
continue. I think the market's going to hit, the Dow Jones is going to hit about 25,000. Wow. And it's over 30 now. So I don't think this is the end.
Wow.
But yeah, if anyone has money sitting in the bank, you're getting no interest, and the bank's not going to give you any more interest because they have enough money now. They're not going to pay more interest out, even though inflation's going up. So the I-bonds are great. They're backed by the federal government, which I don't know how good that's going to be. But but where else can you get 9.62%? You just can't find that anywhere else.
The government's banking that if the bottom drops out, it's going to drop out on you too. You could lose that money.
Well,
totally. But you know, we go to nuclear war, or a nuclear attack. You're not going to have to be worrying about what's in the bank.
About money anyway.
It's going to be, you know, we're printing up. My cousin, I have a cousin who's on the spectrum, and he's in his 60s, and he keeps talking to me every day. He calls me about the prices going up on gas and everything else, and he's a great guy, and I try to keep him calm, but he's like out of control because he's repeating himself so much that I try to keep him calm. The gas prices, he says, it's just unbelievable what's happening with the gas prices. He's never seen anything like it.
You know, and to go off with what Gordy said about inflation, about how, you know, technically your bank accounts are secured by FICA and FDIC and all that. I watched an episode of You Bet Your Life with Groucho Marx. Yeah. Right? It relates. Right. And he was talking about how he doesn't trust banks. And they had somebody on who was an employee from Bank of America and said, you know, put your money in a bank. It's secured by the federal government should something go wrong. And I think Groucho summarizes it perfectly. You know what he says? The government is $4 billion in the hole, and you expect me to trust them with my money?
Yeah, exactly.
And now it's up to what, 40 trillion or whatever the hell it is?
Whatever the number is. You know, the Trump derangement syndrome is in full force on the comments.
It's beautiful.
It's beautiful. We haven't even mentioned Trump in relation to this stuff.
Oh.
And the fact that...
I did. I said if Trump was in...
Well, yeah, okay. But the bottom line is Trump, the gas prices under Trump, we were paying, what,
$1.99.
$1.56.
Yeah.
I paid for oil, $1.56.
Do you remember when he was president, the barrel oil was negative?
Yes.
He actually laughed about it in one of his press conferences. He said, yeah, they have to pay you to take the oil.
Imagine that.
That's how low it was.
And of course, this guy who's got the Trump derangement syndrome is a Russian bot who has to be out there.
No, but I mean, you can say everything bad about
bosses will be coming down on him.
Putin paycheck, absolutely.
You can say, but you got to look at the facts, right? Like,
correct.
The facts tell everything.
So let's play the video. It's about 2 minutes. The video about California gas prices and the shock that people are getting, and then we'll come back and talk about what the effect of diesel fuel is having on the economy. Play that, please, Nate. Got it, Nate? Oh, maybe it's not Nate, it's you. Okay. That's it, it's you. There we go. Go to Gordy's computer. Thank you. Sorry about that, Nate.
They do look good. I did forget to check them inside.
Might have to increase the sound a little bit. Oops. Well, Nate.
Oh yeah, I mean, you know, gas prices are up. Obviously, everyone knows that. You know, so that's an extra $1 per gallon that I'm paying to get into the city to work, and then you know we have the tolls that just went up this past year, $1. My eggs are $1 more as well, so everything's going up at least $1, which you know adds up, of course, especially when you know you have kids and gotta get groceries. I mean, my rent is absolutely ridiculous. So, and I just kind of see it kind of climbing to the point where I'll probably be just another one of these hundreds of thousands of people that's moving out of California.
It's really hard when you got kids. I see some people that have 4, 5, 6 kids, and you know, going to food bank. You know, they have something fun, but vegetables mostly.
So you can see, as you can see, California, of course, is off the Richter scale with their prices, anyways, because there's so many taxes out there. But this wave is coming to us, right? You go into the supermarket, Gordy. You do shopping, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Do you get the same amount of food you get
No.
2 years ago?
Absolutely not. And if you actually go to the dollar store, things
Dollar-
Not
everything
at
in
all.
the store was $1. Now then it went up to $1.25. Now it's going up to $1.50.
Really?
So now they got to call themselves the $1.50.
Before you know it, it's going to be the $2
store, right?
You know, Richard,
Then it's all going to get taken over by Five Below.
and who is blaming everybody but themselves for inflation?
The ones who are actually in charge and responsible for
Right,
it, the
and,
liberal
and Joe
Democrats.
Biden
absolutely.
wants to tell you, and wants
It's
the people,
Ukraine.
It's all Trump's
that
fault,
it's
absolutely.
Ukraine, it's Trump,
Putin.
it's Putin, and it has nothing to do with the fact that he is about to close another oil field in Alaska, right? He's about to do that. That's why you see the stock market starting to plummet even further, right? Because if you think gas prices are high now, wait till that happens, right? Wait till that happens. All those people out there with Trump derangement syndrome
Yeah.
are gonna, 2 years out, they're gonna be saying, "Oh, it's Trump's fault. Trump's fault. Trump." Right? I'm gonna tell you something. You're making the best case for Trump to come back,
Absolutely.
right? Trump is sitting back and saying, people are gonna beg him to run.
Yep.
They're gonna beg him to
Trump
run.
DeSantis.
You're right.
Absolutely.
Unbeatable.
Absolutely.
Will be an unbeatable.
Trump gets through 4 years, DeSantis 8.
There you go.
Put us back on track.
Ah,
Absolutely.
you finally woke up. The light
Absolutely.
dawned on Marvel Head. That would be the thing
brainwash
for
has
the
been
Republican
successful.
Party,
The brain-
right?
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
So, what did you guys think of the latest thing on the Ministry of Truth, the Disinformation Board? What were your thoughts on that?
So that's part of the Homeland Security.
Well, that's what Brian Genest wants to be part of. He wants to kill everything that's negative about him and his wife,
Right.
and what have you, and be the truth sayer. But yet he
Right,
goes
and
on.
then the woman that's in charge of it puts a song out, I think,
Oh,
a
God.
weekly or whatever. But I think, I don't think that's going to really go anywhere. I mean, it is because we have to deal with it because look who's in charge.
Well, do you know that Biden put it on hold today?
Oh, no, I didn't see
He
that.
put it on hold today, and you know why?
Yes, well, I predicted that.
Because of all of the stuff that this nutbag that they were going to have
Yeah,
be
she
the
keeps
truth minister.
She keeps singing about...
Oh my God! Can you look that up? That
Yeah.
song. See if you can get that up. We got a couple of minutes left.
But the thing is the big thing is Twitter, the sale of Twitter is going to make a huge difference. And we're seeing that already. I don't know if you saw some videos. There's people, some of the programmers have said this is such a left company.
Yeah.
Anything we do, it's just left. It's totally left.
Well,
they have days off for brain vacation days, 1 day a week, so they don't have to work 4 days a week in Twitter, because they need to relax. And
Right. Because they're
they
the
want
guys
stuff
that
for free.
Yeah, it's the same thing. They don't
Right.
want to work a full week.
Right.
Right? But Richard, Elon Musk has put his thing on hold, his purchase on hold.
I heard that until they can prove that less than 5% of accounts are bots.
Do you know that 50% of Joe Biden's 22 million people on his Facebook page and his Twitter account are bots?
I would believe it.
50%.
I would believe that, absolutely.
So they created all of these accounts. So 22 million, it's the same smoke and mirrors thing that everybody has, right?
It's the same thing how in Dracut some television shows, boost their ratings magically with certain buttons. Same type of thing.
But according to Joe Biden and those that still support him,
Yeah.
Everything's great. Everything's great.
It's
Jobs
fantastic.
are up. Everything's great.
Things look very bright ahead. Things are looking good.
God Almighty. Richard, do you think that Trump would be a prohibitive victor?
Undefeatable.
Okay, what do you think
Absolutely
about
undefeatable.
what's been going on in Pennsylvania with Dr. Oz and those people?
To be honest with you, I haven't been following
You
him
haven't
too
been
much.
following
But
it.
I heard Dr.
So-
Ross is what? He's close with.
He's ahead now.
He's ahead
He's
now.
ahead.
He's the
So
Trump-backed candidate,
Trump
yes.
backed him, but Trump has supported like, I don't know, 75 or 76 people across the country.
And most of them are probably winning.
And 70, he's had one loss.
Right.
One loss. Up until this election the other night, he was 58-1, and now he's like 75-1. You know, and he all Trump backed. So there's a groundswell out there that want America first, to be America first.
Absolutely.
You know, and I mean, I had people in the car the other day saying from Kansas that were talking about that we don't make anything. Yeah, I mean, Trump's been saying that for years, right?
Well, you know what, John? As far as I'm concerned, only one good thing has come out of anything in American politics over the past 3 months. And you know what? You know where it stems from? The Supreme Court.
Yes. So the Supreme Court, the leak of the Supreme Court, what did you really think about that?
You know what? I feel that it is disgusting that a leak got out of the Supreme Court.
Right.
No matter which side you're on, that is a major security breach, and that needs to be looked into. But knowing how they are going to ultimately rule their opinion on that, on Roe v. Wade, I'm very pleased.
Right.
I really am. I was so ecstatic when I read that. Because, you know what, people are misconstruing this, thinking that it's going to end up banning abortions. Not at all.
No.
It returns the right to decide abortion back to the states.
Where it should have been.
It delegates
If
that
you
to
live
the
in
states
Massachusetts-
where it belongs.
Where Ruth Bader Ginsburg said it should have been.
Absolutely.
But she didn't object to
And
the...
if you live in Massachusetts, it's not.
They're
gonna
not going anywhere,
Yeah,
no.
it's not
No,
gonna-
no.
New York,
Massachusetts
it's not-
will
California,
obviously
yeah.
be on the side
Right.
of abortion. Okay, I'm a woman's choice advocate.
Right.
As you know, we've had this conversation.
Yes.
But I've always been that way. But I believe that once a fetus becomes a heart beating,
Yep.
that is where the line crosses. So when they bring out these things, well, what if your 13 or 14-year-old daughter or granddaughter gets pregnant by a rape? First of all, there's a day after pill, right?
Yep.
Take the damn day after pill once that occurs.
Right.
Well, you
Then
know
you
what,
don't
John?
have to worry about
There's
that.
always exceptions. There's
And there
always
should be
exceptions.
If it's
exceptions.
the case of rape or the mother's life is in
Incest?
danger,
Incest.
absolutely, then go for it.
We got a couple of people who I think online here that were created by incest. But that's
I wouldn't be surprised. But you know, John. But back
Trump
to
deranged.
my point, real quick though. Rape, incest, and the life of the mother being in danger should
Right.
be the only exceptions for abortions. And do you know rape only makes up 1% of all abortions
than-
annually?
less than
1%.
Yeah.
It is not a form of birth control and should not be treated as such.
Oh God, guys, we got through an entire show.
Wow.
And we finally got national politics
And
in for a good
we
portion.
got about 22 minutes of national politics and state politics. One more thing, there's going to be a race for the representative of our district.
Yep.
State
Colleen
representative.
Gary versus
Colleen
Joe
Gary.
Joel
Colleen
Allen.
Gary and I haven't seen, we warmed up in the last few months and what have you, but the guy that's running against her will get annihilated. And we'll have more on that in our next show.
Absolutely.
Right? We're going to go on a little bit of a summer hiatus in June and July. We'll only have maybe one show, maybe two. We'll see. But we'll keep you informed if anything breaks fast. Gordy, take us away.
Folks, thanks for watching. We really appreciate your support. As always, keep in touch with us at Facebook, and we'll post, like John said, anything that happens within Dracut. We're going to post it there, so you don't have to wait for our show to see it. Make sure you check out our YouTube page. Look for What's Happening Dracut or DracutTV.org and watch our episodes there. And you know, when it's Wednesday and it's 6:30, it's What's Happening Dracut. Good night, Dracut.
So long,
Good night,
folks.
Dracut. Thanks.